Welcome to the Blue Cafe. We offer stories of infidelity, betrayal, and redemption. Please like and subscribe if you are enjoying what you are hearing. Now, on to today's story. Online Journal, Day 20, The Beat Goes On. Today wasn't as good a day as yesterday. I'll tell you that. Nothing happened. But I had a lot of thoughts that weighed me down. First things first. The dream again. Same dream. Same themes. The fire, the burning. My flesh being rendered while I work tirelessly in a large store with faceless customers shouting at me to do what they want. None of my co-workers lifting a ducking finger to help. Burning till I was no more than a skeleton. Losing myself being the only reprieve from the pain and the uncomfortable feeling of it all growing back while I shovel coals into the furnace that'll keep that fire ablaze. Try as I might, going back to work was not an option. My job was my job. It was my dad that woke me this time. Crying and screaming. He didn't ask me what the problem was, he just held me. I distinctly remember that he was not there in my dream. He nor my mom. Their absence was so strong I felt it, even if it didn't really feature prominently. He just held me and said nothing. He held me there for a while. I never realized how distinctive he smelled. Not bad. Not good. Just a him smell that reminded me of being young. I don't remember the last time my father hugged me like that. When I was done shaking and I had control of myself, he just looked at me and said that I will be okay. I asked him how he knew, and he replied that he just did. He said it won't be easy, but I will be okay in time. Nothing lasts forever, and the pain, even as intense as it was, would pass. He got up and asked me if I wanted to go on a run with him. I didn't want to, but went anyway. We ran. But we didn't talk about anything. I didn't want to be around anyone. I knew Paris was gonna wake up and check on me, see if I wanted to go on the trail with Poppy. I just left the house and drove out to Graceland Cemetery and sat outside in my car for a few hours, before I had the guts to go find my grandma. And I spent time there talking to her. It's the first time I'd visited since my other grandmother passed. They were both laid there, a few yards from one another. I spoke with them both. I miss them both. But my Nan was my favorite person most of my life. She always had the answers and I wish she was with me now. I'm sure she'd be firmly in the forgiveness heals all camp. She was very religious. She would always take me to church with her over on Good Hope, you know, the one with the big blue roof. In life, I would always be annoyed that, "It's okay baby, let God handle it," was always her answer for everything. Even when she got sick. Even when she lost her sight. What I wouldn't give to hear her tell me that again. It was after 10, so I got me some cousins and then filled up over off Villard where my Nan used to live. That whole area is different now. I remember wandering the creek and getting into trouble, wild and free. It's all new houses but the same old smells. It's the same around the city. Northridge died a long time ago, Midtown looks derelict, and Bayshore is clean be dying. Home don't look like home and I get this sneaking suspicion that nowhere you go back to is everywhere you left. And I'm afraid people are the same way. The version you knew is gone forever. Maybe a good thing for some people. But might be hard if you liked things the way they were. Or who they were. I didn't go home before I went to see my therapist. I was adamant about the dream this time. I started with it. I insisted. She asked me if I expected her to tell me what it meant. I told her I already knew what it meant, or had a vague idea. I wanted to know why I was having it. She said I obviously have some things I'm trying to mentally process. She then asked me to go over it again and asked me questions. She wasn't too insightful, but I'm starting to suspect that isn't her job. She asks me questions. She gets me to think about it and then she makes small observations based on what I said. Not much new information. I talked about a lot of things. Talked a lot about my brother and how I was upset he wasn't around. He knows what's going on. He knows I need him, but he ain't around. She asked why I didn't talk to any of my other male's friends or my father, and truth be told, I don't want to be judged. It feels like ever since I was 13 my brother was just distant, doing his own thing. We used to be so close. In college we still talked, but later he just forgot about us. I talked to her about Brianna and Paris. How it was good to have Brianna come around again, and how I was enjoying helping her with her homework and stuff. She wanted to talk about Paris, and asked me all kinds of questions about her and our time together so far, as Paris is the person I'm with the most one-on-one. I talked a lot about Paris, our past and how I can admit I really resent her and her sister for stealing my uncle away from us and then treating him like crap. But more than that, I think I hate her because I really did want to like her. I wanted to be a big brother to someone. I didn't get along with my other cousins because they all hated me, cause their parents hated my dad. Their parents hated my dad because he was the other woman's baby, despite the fact that their mother treated him like a son and me very well. We both look so much like granddad it's eerie. And that doesn't sit well with my dad's brothers. Though he got along with his sisters, Auntie Beatrice and Auntie Norma. Not their real names, but their real names are equally old-timey. Uncle Brad was the only one of his 4 brothers that didn't have a serious axe to grind with him or us. Auntie Norma don't have kids. And Auntie Beatrice's kids were always pleasant, but since she lived in Glendale we hardly got to see any of them. I was one of the 2 youngest, so Paris and London were my chance to do the big brother thing or the big cousin thing right. Like not how I was treated, but be really good. Plus, my uncle asked me to look out for them and to welcome them. He told me he knew how my cousins D-Man and Pat had done me. How Charles and Malcolm used to beat me up. He said that they needed someone. That they needed my compassion. I was younger, I didn't really think much of it. But I really wanted my uncle to be proud of me. So I tried. I didn't just pay lip service or wait for things to change. I put in real effort. Not like everyone else who tries, but just sits on their ass waiting for things to change. Those girls spit in my face every time. London literally did that once. Like, I was trying to help them with something at the library. They had their friends with them and they were being loud. That old DMX song was on and that's what gave London the idea to spit at me. They all giggled and laughed and I was embarrassed. I always thought Paris could be saved. But she would get worse and more rude and vicious over time, like she was trying to impress London. So I gave up on them. Brianna was getting older and she needed me, and she wouldn't be a mean bitch if I could help it. Thankfully she's not. We talked about Paris' effort to change. I told her about the incidents lately and stuff and she asked me if I thought Paris' efforts were genuine. She asked if they weren't genuine, what did I think she was trying to accomplish? I answered, told her many things. And she asked me if I thought that I was projecting my anger at my wife onto Paris. She didn't say this, but I feel like she was implying that I felt like if I forgave or accepted Paris' attempts to change or make amends, then that meant I would have to do the same with my wife, who I have admittedly been avoiding. The therapist asks if I think things will be better if I wait and asked me to tell her the reasons why I think that, and why maybe that might not be such a good idea. It was a long session. And I came out still feeling anxious. I did swing by home, but Brianna had already left. I asked Paris if she took Poppy out on the trail and she had. I decided that I would thank her for sticking up for Brianna, and take her to get something to eat. She wanted Five Guys, I wanted to drive all the way and get Portillo's. We did that and shared half a burger and fries. I could have done a whole one, but that spaghetti I had before is heavy, and I was planning on making some clam chowder pot pies later in the day. So, didn't wanna overdo it. I know bread and starch is the enemy, but I really need them right now. I'll be better tomorrow. I thanked her, but I didn't apologize. I don't think I've mistreated her and that her treatment is apt to what she is done. You can forgive a thief, but you're not gonna leave him alone in your house. Still, I finally asked her about her ex, the one who got the 15-year-old pregnant, and she opened up to me about it. It was a grueling conversation and she ugly cried about it. Like she was so hurt this man did that to her, but was more hurt he didn't want her and that he wasn't around. Like she still had feelings for this dude after finding out he was ducking multiple high school age girls. I tried to be a shoulder and not try to interject with my own mess. Lord knows I don't want to seem like I'm doing that whole, you think that's bad, let me tell you what happened to me. I just let her cry it out, and then she told me that the guy she was seeing before she actually really liked, and she gave him up cause London didn't like him. Because he didn't have the right look or was in the right crowds. The ex-fiancé was someone London had liked. She gave up her smelly otaku she loved, for some pedo who probably ducked her sister first. I can't even imagine how that makes her feel. The rest of the day was better, I guess. Uneventful. I didn't get a chance to make my pot pies, but I did gather all the ingredients. I played with the idea of calling Amy, but I called Doug instead to ask him for an update. Not much going on there. Mimi and Amy hanging out more, but Amy hasn't really left her parents' house. Clarissa is making an ass of herself, and I just wanna call up and maybe tell Amy she needs therapy. That's a prerequisite, but I can't bring myself to call her right now. I'll get through. I always do. It's just, not good, man. It's not good. Update, I am who am. I can't do anything about that shit is. Okay, yeah? Alright? So I called Clarissa because some of the things Mimi and her were talking about, some of the things Mimi had been accusing Clarissa of, was concerning. Doug sent screen caps of Mimi going off. So, here's some highlights. 1. Mimi blames Clarissa for Amy's image issues. I can't even begin to talk about some of the shit that Mimi accuses Clarissa of, but if even one or two of them are true, then ducking, yeah, no, I get it. Like, no, I don't automatically forgive my wife for her actions. But the insecurity, the self-loathing, that's starting to make sense. Clarissa didn't deny any of these things, saying she always tried to help Amy. That nobody likes a fat girl and that Amy was lucky I didn't cheat on her. Found out so much shit I didn't know. Mimi and Clarissa were friends first. They all grew up together from toddlers. Their parents were friends, I know that. But I always thought it was Amy and Mimi were always friends. Turns out, Mimi and Clarissa were friends, and Mimi started being Amy's friend because Clarissa was bullying her. Talking to Clarissa without confronting her on how I knew the details was rough, but I basically just called her up and asked her WTF has been going on. She starts in about how Amy is just whining and crying to their parents. How she won't get up and take responsibility, and how she's tired that Amy is so unappreciative. I'm not going to get into the entire conversation, but I ended up calling Mimi, and I'm probably going to call my wife. So Clarissa was not happy Amy, and I ducked on that first night. The two of them had a real falling about it. This is from Mimi and partly corroborated when I called Clarissa back. Apparently Clarissa has had a lot of problems with big people. News flash, Mill is not Mimi and Amy's mother. Mimi and Amy's real mother was Mill's best friend who died when they were little, from complications due to high blood pressure. Their mom was apparently a heavy-set woman. Amy has never told me about this. And it ain't like they were ducking babies. Her mom apparently died when she was 6. Clarissa used to bully and push Amy to lose weight, telling her that she was going to die like their mother. Clarissa's obsession with being excessively thin starts to make sense. Apparently nobody talks about their real mom. I asked about Mill, I''M.M.A. Call her Marge, cause she looked just like ducking Amy. But apparently no relation. Apparently she stayed around to help the Phil with the kids and eventually just ended up being new mom. They do not treat her like a stepmom. Like, I don't know. She don't act like a stepmom, and I don't know why this would be some big ducking secret. But yeah, okay, so Clarissa was really out of pocket in her younger years with Amy about her weight. And did some real heinous shit to try to get Amy to want to lose weight. But apparently, Amy ducking me at the party was a no-no and that caused some real shit. So apparently the idea that she was just a mercy lay came from Clarissa. Mimi tells me that every time something goes bad in Clarissa's life or relationships, she would lay into Amy, and Amy didn't tell me because Clarissa and I were apparently just such good friends. She was scared I never got over Clarissa. I did. I ducking did. The day I realized that, cause he big is a shallow as reason not to date me, and you dated some real douchebags instead of giving me a shot, I didn't see Clarissa as a potential partner anymore. Yes, I was really hung up on her in college for a while, but nah, it ain't even like that. I asked Clarissa straight up if what she said, what she did, and why. I told we've been friends for a long time, I know when you lying to me. Tell me what you did. And I'm disgusted. I'm sucking disgusted. She then says that Amy got the happy ever after and she got all these douchebags. I chose fat Amy and she wasn't happy with it. She got the great guy. The guy that should have been hers. Amy didn't want to work on her looks. Didn't want to lose weight. Just cry and complain that people didn't like her for her, but she was never willing to work on herself. She just sat there being spoiled and entitled, like the world owed her something. Like someone who worked on themselves that put in the effort was supposed to just want to be with someone who didn't. And somehow just sitting on her as she got that. Clarissa did not sound like the Clarissa I knew. Venom? Lots of venom and not just like jealousy. She wasn't jealous. She sounded bitter. I asked her to leave her house. To go stay in my house. Doug would let her in. I told her not to go back to the house. I told her I don't want her around Amy till she get her shit together. I told her she need therapy. I need therapy. Amy need therapy. What she didn't need is to be around my wife. She called me pathetic cause I still called Amy my wife. Even though she betrayed me. Even though she showed her ass out on the internet to a bunch of strangers. She began to make some accusations of her own. Basically the same things some people on here have said. That it probably isn't all of it. What she did with Mimi is probably all Mimi, and them know. What about her workout buddies? What about the new friends she was making? Amy could have been down doing anything and I'm here defending her. She was mad. But I don't think she was mad at me. I told her to take the phone to Mill and I told Mill what I wanted and why. Mill told me she wasn't about to force her daughter to leave, but I told her some of the things Clarissa said. I told Clarissa that she needs to get the duck up out of there right now, and that if she ever valued me as a person or a friend she would do as I ask. Go to Doug's, get the key, and get the duck away from my wife. I wanted to call Amy after all this. This isn't even all of it. Not by half. But I haven't been able to bring myself to call her. I came on here looking for a specific Redditor who I've been talking to in chat for advice, but they weren't around. I waited a while for them. And then decided to just type this, cause I don't know what to do, man. Am I ducking oblivious? Is just the world moving around me and I just don't see this shit? Like, where the duck is all of this shit coming from? My life was normal. My shit was normal. What the duck is with all of these people? And why am I just now finding out any of this shit? I''M.M.A. Be real. I might not go home. We hope you have enjoyed today's episode. Please like and subscribe. Cheers. Have an awesome day or night, wherever you are.